Hi everyone, Ann Doll here, bringing you another speed draw of Grimm from my Grimm Days comic strip, and another story from my crazy life. This week, I'm going to be drawing Grimm in the style of Invader Zim. It's a cartoon I liked to watch more than a decade ago, and Netflix recently made a movie version of it. My favorite character was Gurr, the derpy robot, so I'm going to use him as the inspiration for how I draw Grimm today. My story for this video is about my two weddings. First off, let me clarify that I have only been married once. So both of these weddings were for the same marriage. In 2004, I proposed to my now husband. It wasn't anything fancy or romantic or anything. We had already been living together for the past 2 years, and one day we were discussing marriage. I looked at my husband and just said, "Do you want to?" His first response was, "Are you serious?" When I told him I was, he said yes, and we were engaged. We started making plans to have a wedding in June 2005 at the local Renaissance fair, but soon after we started our plans, we found out that my husband's insurance would only let him add me to it that year if we were married by November 30th, 2004. I was dead set on having a Ren Fair wedding, so we decided to continue to plan that wedding, but to go ahead and sign the papers early for the insurance. My husband and I didn't think it was a big deal, since we were already living together, and we were planning on getting married anyways, but when we told our families about the plan to sign the paper early, they were not very happy with us. First, everyone started teasing me for wanting to marry my husband for his insurance. But more importantly, they all thought that they needed to be present for the paper signing, as though it were some big deal, even though there wasn't room for that many people at the county clerk and reporter, nor was the paper signing the important part of this whole process. But to accommodate our family's obsession with being present for that part, we had to plan another small ceremony. The need to get it done by November, combined with the fact that my husband and I are pagan and my background as a costume designer, led us to pick Halloween for the date. We had a friend who was ordained that was willing to do both ceremonies, and there was a little city park that other pagans like to use for rituals, so we arranged to have a small hand fasting ritual for our immediate families, our parents and siblings, and the one niece I had at that time, and our ordained friend and two friends that we had asked to sign the paperwork as witnesses. My husband and I dressed up as Aragorn and Arwen from Lord of the Rings, and my sisters and my niece and the friend that was leading the ritual also dressed up in costumes because it was Halloween, but everyone else dressed up kind of formal. Afterwards, we went to a nearby Irish pub for lunch, and then to my parents' place for cake and signing the marriage license. So that was our first wedding. Our second wedding was then held the following June at the Renaissance Fair. They offered a special package deal that included a small chapel-ish structure for the ceremony, a private reception space for a buffet meal, an all-day entrance for both the couple and up to 50 guests to the whole fair for the day, riding the horse-drawn carriage or an elephant in their daily parade. We picked the elephant, though if we knew what we know now about what happens to a lot of those elephants and how they're kept and how they really shouldn't be used for such things, we wouldn't have picked that option. And then the package also included a spot by the royalty during one of the jousting performances. There were a lot more things we got from the employees of the Ren Fair because they like to make weddings extra special for everyone that has their wedding there, but those were not part of the package. They weren't something that we paid for. They were just things that were done out of the goodness of the heart of the people that did it. So some examples of some of these extra things are before the wedding, when I was being walked to the chapel by my handlers, a bagpiper from one of the bands that performed there walked with us and played bagpipe music, so it became a little mini procession to the chapel. When I reached the chapel, There was a woman there who played a character, she was Mother Earth, and before we walked down the aisle, she gave my husband and I a little blessing and then handed us these 2 little trinkets to represent the blessing she gave us. And this one was uniquely special because we had actually planned for our friends and family to do that as part of the actual ceremony, where they would each pick a wish for us as a couple and pick out a trinket, some little item to act as a symbol of that wish. And we keep all that in the bag, and those 2 little trinkets that Mother Earth gave us, we put in the bag as well because it fits so perfectly with what we had already planned. After the ceremony, when we were with the king and queen and the nobles just before the jousting, we were back in a private area for only the employees, and the queen took us aside and she sang us this beautiful Spanish love song as a gift for it being our wedding day. I remember there were other little things, but I'm a little fuzzy at the moment about what they were, but everybody just took such good care of us. And then one of the other cool things about having our wedding at the Ren Fair was that during our ceremony, we released butterflies. And after that day, I actually ended up getting hired on by the Ren Fair. And every day that I worked, I would actually see the specific butterflies we released for our ceremony come around. Even though working for the Ren Fair was kind of hard work, every time I got to see the butterflies, they made me smile and made working there for the summer really worthwhile. And so that was my second wedding. When we first got married, we would get a bunch of strange looks from people when they found out we had had 2 weddings. But these days we know more and more people who have done something similar. Most people we know who also had 2 weddings did it because their families were 2 different religions or from 2 different countries. But we have had a few people who had similar legality situations where they needed to sign the paperwork by a certain date and then they could have their wedding. So it's not that unusual as it used to be. Well, anyways, here I am just putting the finishing touches on the picture, and I'll put the completely finished drawing up at the end. I don't think this turned out as good as the previous ones, but that could be partially because I'm not necessarily a big fan of how it looks when I draw this way, in this kind of style. It's still good, and it does kind of look like Invader Zim. I think I might have made some wrong color choices, but otherwise I think it looks pretty good. The background isn't completely original for this one like it was with the other 2, since I decided to make the background Zim's living room. So I was just going off of reference pictures for his living room to make this background, so not my creation, not out of my imagination. That's more or less a copy of what's in the show. I still plan on making this available as a download for my Patreon patrons. If you would like to subscribe to my Patreon, the link will be in the description below, along with the links to my Facebook, Instagram, and Webtoon pages. If you like this video, please click the like button below and leave a comment letting me know what you think. And if you want to see more videos like this, see more Grim Days drawings, or hear more about my weird, crazy life, please hit the subscribe button. I look forward to making the next video, so until next time, bye!